Today, my friends, we are here breaking down Mass EDrag here for Town 11. So for those of you who like to use Mass EDrag, this video is going to be a must-watch for you. That's right, guys, we are going to be talking about Mass EDrag, Spam Electro Dragons. I know a lot of you guys really like to use it, so I decided, again, I would make this video to help you guys find the right base designs. This is a really, really important thing. To me, it's not so much how the base design I show in the video looks, it's the base identification and tips to take away. So in this strategy, you've got to look for compartmentalized bases. Bases that are really compact, you can definitely take them out extremely easy. On this base here, as an example, this is a great example of basically looking at a base that's very compact. You're looking for basically things like you see all around this base. So if I just zoom in here, you can really see that it's pretty compact. There's a lot of one tile gaps all around the base, except for, of course, the queen compartment. Outside of that, though, you're getting a lot of really good chain value from the inside of the base. That's what you're looking for. That should be your key. That should be your key that I can either Electron or Mass EDrag this base. So there's a lot of different things to think about in terms of it. Outside of it, though, what you're just trying to do is get the most from your funneling, which is usually using either a Sui hero, which is using both your king and queen, or you're going to be using your split heroes, the king on one side, queen on the other, with a couple EDrags, and that's going to allow you to create the funnel. So what I want you guys to really pay attention here is what we're doing something a little bit differently. So what we're trying to do is just clear up some of the trash buildings around here, especially in areas where it's not really chainable. So that's why we're going to be using the super wall breaker, the queen, and the ice golem just in order to take care of different things. Like here, a Tesla farm, which really could be a big downside for a Mass EDrag. So we want to take that out. Up here, though, we are creating one side of the funnel using the king. And what that's going to allow us to do is use a couple EDrags here, and that way we can send our EDrags into the base. So what we're also going to do is drop in the stone slammer right over to this multi-inferno. What this means is what we're trying to do is we are trying to basically clear this part of the base with the slammer while everything else drives in. That should be the focus, because you can tell that there are dead zones here, which are definitely going to make it a lot harder for the EDrags to chain. So you want to take a look at that, and you want to make sure that you are identifying. Now you may be asking, what about the clone spells? Well, you're going to use the clone spell a little bit later with the balloons from that slammer. So it's definitely very important. Now, this is very similar to one of those strategies like, the Astro Dragon or anything like that. You're going to be using those freeze spells, so you want to make sure that you are freezing up defenses like the Eagle, Expos, Sweepers, air defenses. It can definitely work on those. Of course, some of this base is not max, like a couple of these air defenses like this one, but you guys still get the idea of basically driving into the base and using the rage spells, using the freeze spell, making sure to keep these EDrags alive, using the warren ability to make sure that they stay alive for the most part. And that's really good, just going to be the most important things. Right there, you notice that we did use the clone spell. We used that clone in order to make sure that we cloned up those balloons, taking down the air defense, making sure that we're getting some value from that clone spell. And again, you'll notice that we're not even using the warden ability until really towards the very end. We didn't even need the warden ability for the rest of this attack. So you can really tell the right base design on this one here. Lord H decided to just use a clone spell. It's definitely nice to bring. It's not going to be for every single one, but it is going to be a very nice touch to add, because you never know when you're going to need some of those extra balloons, and that is really when he needed them. So that's a really good way and a really good variation of using this. And I think I did this one before in terms of a Mass EDrag video. I think the last time there was EDrag bats. So definitely showing you guys something a little bit differently, an EDrag clone here, but showing you guys that in order to definitely help you guys improve with it. So let's take a look at another EDrag strategy. Let's take a look at another Mass EDrag and break that one down for you guys. So that's right, guys, we are looking at another example using Mass EDrag, and this base right here, it's so perfect for it. And here's the main reason to why that this strategy is 100% so worth hitting with this. I mean, look at this. Look at all of this chain value entering into the base going downwards. There's so much chain value. This is a perfect base for this. Why do I say that? Well, a lot of the base is chainable, especially going downwards. Even though we do have to fight a sweeper, I mean, you have easy pathing. The pathing that we can just funnel both sides by either using maybe one EDrag or two, or even using a split Sui hero, that just allows us to really get through the base. And we're only going to lose like half of our EDrags, but that doesn't mean that's going to happen early. That's going to happen way later. Oh, like over time, we're just going to lose 4. So I think at most we had like, what, 5 up? So that's definitely extremely powerful. This was an easy wreck. So I want to make sure I'm going over this one. This was such an OP attack, and I just got to really be able to cover this for you guys. Again, EDrags work on this style of base. We're not looking at these really complex bases to be hitting with EDrags. We're seeing base designs where there's so much chain value in the base, it's weak to mass EDrag. You've got to consider that when you are using Electro Dragons. And this is not just for, for war. It's also for farming. For those of you who are farming with mass EDrag, this really works better when you can get a ton of chain value. And I know that there's a lot of base designs that have that. So you got to make sure that you're looking for the chain. You can't use it on every base. So you got to make sure that you are getting the chain value that you really are going to need. You saw that we actually used a bunch of free spells over on that entire side, dealing with the eagle, dealing with the air defenses. That is really why we were doing that. And then we also popped the warn ability in order to make sure that we are protecting a lot of these EDrags. So you can see as everything is moving through, we're raging them up, we're keeping them moving as they go through. We're freezing up defenses like the air defenses here in order to make sure that they go down. And you can see that we're just keeping them, we're keeping it frozen in order to make sure that we are getting through that air defense and we don't need to worry about it. You just see how powerful this really is. Really notice how quickly we are burning through this base. Just chain value left, right, and center, easily allowing ourselves to really crush this entire base. That's really all it is. This is not a weak strategy by any means on these particular types of bases. So just like the last one, you need to look for chain value. That is the biggest thing as far as I can say with this. You've got to make sure that you're looking at chain value because you never know when there's going to be a time where you're not getting any chain value. So you got to make sure that you're not hitting a base or hitting you're not hitting a base where there's no chain value. You want to make sure that there is chain value, so you're basically chaining a lot further than your EDrags actually are, and you're taking that out. So that's what you got to do, and make sure that you are keeping an eye on that. Outside of that though, you'll still be able to get through a lot of different base designs as long as you are doing that one simple trick of identifying the right base design for it. But let's move on into another example using mass EDrag. So guys, we are looking at another variation here, and this is going to be bringing in the mass EDrag with the bats. So this is a different variation than the previous two, as we saw one with clone and one just a pure mass, but what we're seeing here is something a little bit different. Now, with mass EDrag with bat spells, again, you're still looking for chain value. That is, again, one of the biggest things. But by looking at the base here, you want to make sure that you're getting as much of the splashdown as possible. However, this also means that you also want to bring a good number of free spells, which means in this example here, we brought 3 free spells. But on top of this, you're also going to notice the Ice Golem. The Ice Golem is very much essential with an attack like this. And we'll show another example as well with this one, as again, this is a great way to use this. Think of it as a drag bat. However, again, you're limited on the bases you can hit compared to drag bat. With drag bat, it doesn't really matter as much as long as you're getting most of the splashdown. However, with EDrags, you need to look for chain, and that is the most important part, because you want the EDrags to at least cut out a good portion of the base. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be playing it here just for you guys to sort of see what we're doing. Now there is a hole up here, so what we're doing is we're trying to clear up these two buildings. We're trying to make sure that we can clear these two in order to kind of create that sort of defensive funnel in terms of making sure that none of the balloons go towards that section if we do, or really nothing sort of targets any of the troops out here like the wizard. Now what we're doing here is we're trying to get into the multi-inferno compartment. So that's the reason why we are going ahead and using a couple giants as well as the super wall breaker to break in, and then the queen. We're not using the king over there. We're making sure that the queen goes right in to deal with that multi-inferno. After that though, we can, realistically just set the funnel on the opposite side with the king and then just send our EDrags in. Now this is something that's also very important. You still want to use that queen from the inside, not just to get a multi-inferno, but you're also trying to get pathing from that. Again, with pathing here, you want to make sure that you're keeping your EDrags mostly on the inside driving in. So you'll see from here is that what we're doing from this is making sure that these EDrags really stay in the base in order to get a lot of good chain. And you'll see underneath the Warden and the Rage, we're trying to make sure that they are driving through the base. So you'll see from here, we're going to get a lot of chaining onto the Eagle and those other defensive buildings once they go in. This is the reason why we're using that Rage spell with them, and we're taking down as many of these the Infernos, Wizard Towers. You'll see that we do have 3 on that back end, but this is the reason why we're using a Bat Wave. And a Bat Wave is still very, very simple. So what we're going to do is we've taken down most of the splash that's left. So now what we got to do is just drop in our free spells when we do our Bat Wave. So again, the Bat Wave is sending our bats from the outside. This gives us some easy pathing. Now you'll also notice the use of the Ice Golem over here. So if I zoom in, you can see that the Ice Golem is going in. If we take a look at the range of the Wizard Tower, you will see that the range of it will just barely be clipped by that Ice Golem, allowing you to have an easy tank to go through. So that's definitely one of the things that I would recommend bringing, because it is very, very good, and most of the time, a lot of people will have their Wizard Towers in an area where, the Ice Golem will be able to tank for it. So that means, or tank for the bats. So that's what I'm trying to get at. But you guys can still get the whole picture. It's a very simple strategy. Even though we did lose quite a couple EDrags, just expect to do that depending on the army composition and of course the base. But this base here gives you guys a good example of really a good base to hit with, some really solid foundations, getting the splash. It's like a drag bat. But now let's go to move on into another more weirder type of base that was also in this war. So here we go, guys. We've got the last example, and this base you are never going to see. I totally can agree with whatever someone's going to say. This is a weird base, but I want you guys to really learn from the tips. So this base design was hit by the mass EDrag with bats. Of course, remember that you're using a Bat Wave, so realistically, this base isn't really that hard to use EDrags on, even though it does look like you're not really going to get that much chain value. There's some good chain value as you're driving through, especially on the outside. The trash ring on the base definitely allows you to easily get rid of trash buildings, but what we're basically doing is we're going to make sure that we're taking care of a part of the base and just making sure that we can narrow down our pathing. That's what we're going to be looking at. So definitely take advantage of the tips I'm giving you, not so much the base. So don't worry about the base. This is something that you're never going to see. But the idea is we're going to Sui Hero and use an EDrag over here, and this is going to carve out mostly this area here, which really allows us to kind of get something going. And we're funneling this area out too, meaning that our EDrags will go in like this. Now you may already notice, yes, we do have a Skelly spell. So in terms of this, why is the attacker bringing in a Skelly spell instead of an extra bat? Well, the main reason is because that's the CC right here is basically centralized, meaning that it's going to be a lot harder for the EDrags to chain onto it without something going over to it. It's been used quite a bit in a lot of really recent League wars, but I will definitely say it was a lot more common in this war. So the use of the Skelly spell, not once but twice was used, and it was definitely used very well to take care of the eagle artillery, and it was definitely a lot easier. Now again, you're not going to see these type of bases, but I still want to give you guys the option to look at some of these weirder bases, because you never know when you're going to see a really weird base that someone made. And of course, with this one, it's kind of a little bit like that. But again, what we're doing here is we are doing two things, and you'll see that from this part of the video here. Again, what we're doing is we're entering in with a Sui hero on this side, while on the opposite side, we're getting rid of the wizard towers with the EDrag up top. So that's what we're doing here. So what we're doing is we're carving out this area of the base, which is going to allow us to really easily get something going. Now, when I was talking about chain, in terms of chain value, you'll see that right down here, that's exactly what's going on. You can see from here is that we are getting a lot of good chain value, because a lot of those buildings down from between 3 o'clock and 6 o'clock are all chainable from the bottom. So that's definitely very, very easy for your EDrags, especially if you're using a couple EDrags to funnel, to make a funnel like there. Or, you know, if you're using a couple EDrags for that funnel, yeah, you get the point, you get the point. So now we're going to go ahead and play it here, and you guys will see what we're doing. So we may not have a lot of EDrags moving in, but that doesn't mean that we need a ton of EDrags to move into the base. We still have the bats for the back end. So what we're doing is we're very, very sparingly using the rage spell, and then using those freeze specifically for the bats. So you'll see that as we're entering in, we're going to use that Warren ability to make sure that we are keeping a lot of these EDrags alive, because those EDrags are very essential for this. But as well as you can see that we don't really need those skeletons from the skeleton spell, but you'll still see from here is that we're getting a lot of really good value from using that, and also the stone slammer, so that's really good. Now, what you'll also see from here is we're dropping in our bats. So we took care of the 2 wizard towers up top early on, we took care of the multi-inferno, and we took care of at least I believe one of the wizard towers going into it with the EDrags. So what that means is we can start our bats. Because we have about 3 freeze spells, we see 1 being used right now, you'll see that we're going to be dropping in the freeze spell just to deal with that inferno. And we're going to have to use 2, but that's still fine, because we're going to easily take that down. And then outside of that, we're just going to deal with the other wizard towers, either with the EDrags or with the bats and the freeze. Luckily here we didn't even need to use the freeze, and we got easy pathing with our EDrags to clear up the rest of that. Then we used the bats on the back end and cleared it. So you guys get the idea of EDrags here at Town Hall 11. Let me know if you guys have any questions about mass EDrag. Definitely, of course, this was a little bit of a weirder base, but definitely still good to show. Again, you never know when you're going to see a weird base, definitely not like this, but definitely the idea more so was learning from the tips I'm giving you guys. So hopefully this video kind of helps you guys choose the right base designs for each of these variations. Drag clone with EDrags, mass EDrag, and EDrag bats. So it's definitely a great option for you guys to really choose on which of these. So thank you guys so much for watching the video. If you guys did enjoy, remember to leave a like. It really does mean a lot to the channel. And feel free to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you guys don't miss anything. Also, don't forget that we do have a giveaway going on. Remember to check my Twitter for more information. Thank you guys so much again for 10,000 subscribers. Another thing is, feel free to go ahead and follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, and Trovo. Those links are in the description of this video, so remember to follow me on there, as I'm definitely going to do more streaming. And of course, I'm still going to be posting on social media, of course. Another thing is, feel free to go ahead and join any of the clans I'm covering within this game of Clash of Clans. All the links to their Discord servers are in the description. And speaking of that, remember to go ahead and join my community Discord server. It's in the description below. But that being said, guys, that is going to do it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll be seeing you guys next time. Corrupt, signing out.